I promise you, if you take a moment to observe people, to notice how men treat women, you will see women being undermined and mansplained to everywhere, all the time. A lot of the time we don't even notice it because it's so a part of our daily conversations and behaviours. But we need to question these things because a man, for example, laughing at something you've said that's actually really intelligent and insightful isn't a small deal, it's a big deal. Him laughing at you indicates that he doesn't take you seriously. Most men at some point perpetuate the idea that women are less capable and intelligent than men, knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally. Men have been taught to question women's abilities, so if they don't take the time to reflect on that and challenge that and talk about it with their mates, they're not going to have that awareness. They're not going to be able to do anything about it. Even the good guys will unintentionally treat women as less capable. Hello beautiful people, I'm Alessia Sotheberry. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome, subscribe, join this community of intelligent people. It's funny that I'm going to be discussing intelligence today. I always refer to my subscribers as being intelligent just because of the dialogue that goes on in the comment sections. So I'm very excited to get into this topic. So, intelligence is subjective. There's not one single definition that's correct. We all have our own different ideas of what intelligence is, of what makes an intelligent person. Now, when we are calling somebody intelligent, what we're doing is we're just pointing out that somebody has a skill set, that they are highly knowledgeable on a certain matter, or really good at something. Now, the skill sets that people tend to put on a pedestal, that people tend to value more than others, are ones that we should look at and question because they really do reflect a lot about the society that we live in. I'd say that when most people think of an intelligent person, they tend to think of somebody who's really good at maths, who got A stars, who is pursuing a job in finance or doing a job in finance, somebody who is really good at Excel. When we think of an intelligent person, we picture maybe a guy sat at a computer screen with loads of numbers and equations up. Why? Why is this our go-to visual, our go-to notion of intelligence? Because we live in a capitalist society, a society that revolves around money and numbers. In our society today, money is everything. We need it to survive. We need it as adults to buy food, to put a roof over our heads, to get places. We can't function without it. So people that have a lot of money have access to more time, more opportunities, better healthcare. So it really does make sense that we grow up thinking the smartest people are the people in finance, are the people who are skilled when it comes to noticing patterns and trends and quantitative data. In a system like ours, a society like ours, these skills make life a lot easier on an individual level. Emphasis on individual. We live in a society where economic success is the main metric of intelligence. And so it makes sense that people thriving in money-related fields are seen as the smartest ones. But if you question how our society operates, if you're deeply uncomfortable with how money and power drive so much of our behaviour, you might start to value other kinds of intelligence more. Maybe the kinds that foster connection and collaboration and community. That's certainly where I'm at. I'm not saying that mathematicians or people in finance aren't smart or valuable. I just think it's time we broaden our idea of what intelligence looks like and what it's for. What is this particular skill set helping to achieve? Is it helping to achieve something that brings about greater good? Or is it actually hurting a lot of people? Is it hurting the planet? I know that these are all quite philosophical questions and this whole topic is quite deep and maybe a bit mind-boggling, But I think it's really important that we do ponder these things. And I personally find it really interesting pondering these things. There are other skill sets beyond being really savvy with numbers that are really deeply valuable right now. In a world facing climate change, homelessness, systemic oppression, war, genocide, the ability to communicate vulnerably, reflect on our emotions, express empathy, feel for others is really important. Emotional intelligence, in my opinion, is one of the most important skill sets that actually a lot of people in powerful positions lack. We need emotional intelligence to truly feel our world, feel the suffering. That's what enables us to feel motivated to do something about the suffering. So if you're somebody who feels a lot, I think this is a strength. If you're somebody that is happy to pour time into understanding your emotions and other people's emotions, you are a really valuable person. Even if people have made you feel like you're too sensitive, that you're weak for feeling, I want you to know that it's a great strength to be able to feel. Do you know what? I'm making this video because I don't want people to do what I did for so long, for such a long time in my life. I told myself, you're not intelligent, Alasia. You're not. You can't do that. Just because I had some bad experiences at school and the education system didn't support me in the way it should have. It wasn't set up for my kind of brain and for anxiety, people experiencing mental health issues. I didn't love maths at school, so I didn't feel intelligent. But just because you don't thrive at school doesn't mean you can't thrive outside of school, doesn't mean you're not intelligent. Just because your mind doesn't lean towards a clear right or wrong answer doesn't mean that you're dumb. In fact, if you're able to allow for nuances, I think that shows great wisdom. Different skill sets offer different kinds of value. And yes, there's going to be a preference for people who are good with numbers in a world obsessed with money. But that certainly doesn't mean that other forms of intelligence, other skills, are less important. In fact, I believe, and you might agree with me, the most important skill sets are the kinds that bring love and kindness and peace into the world. I know that probably sounds idealistic and maybe even simplistic, but the division going on in our world right now, the hatred, really proves my point. We need to rethink what we value and what we undervalue, because we're clearly not getting it right. Too many people are suffering for us to believe this way of living is the right one. By the way, this video, like the majority of my videos, is designed to really speak to women. But I just want to clarify that I'm not saying that women aren't good at numbers or math. In fact, it's quite the opposite. And if you watched till the end of this video, that point will be made very clear. I just want to emphasize that intelligence is subjective and that we should really stop before we say to ourselves, oh, I'm dumb, I'm not intelligent. We should really resist that conclusion, because the truth is we're all skilled at something. You might not even realize it. You might be skilled at maths, science, gardening, being creative, talking, communicating. We should allow ourselves to lean into the things that we're good at, to take them seriously, to not play them down. You are talented at something. Say that now aloud in your room if you can. Say, I'm talented. I'm talented at communicating, presenting. I'm talented at coming up with ideas for content. Say it aloud. Repeat that daily. So this section of the video is really important. It adds a lot of context, and because my videos are mainly designed to speak to women, I couldn't not say this bit. So yeah, subscribe by the way if you're a woman watching and you're not already subscribed. I'd really appreciate the support. So you've got to constantly remind yourself when you feel less than as a woman that you live in a world built around men. A world designed to satisfy the male experience and mind. So of course, as women, we'll often be made to feel left out, misunderstood, unintelligent, if we offer an alternative perspective, if we question what's been accepted as right. Chances are you grew up watching men confidently dominate conversations, talking over the silly woman, talking about silly woman things. Emphasis on the most likely the books and figures that you studied in school predominantly celebrated old white men. The films that you watched growing up portrayed men as the heroes that saved the women who were the damsels in distress, the weak ones who were so incapable of doing anything for themselves other than looking pretty. You're not unintelligent, incapable, or dumb. You just grew up in a world that wanted you to think you are. You've been taught that your ideas don't matter, that your perspective is uninteresting, that what excites you and fascinates you is futile, that your way of learning is wrong. Not because you're dumb, but because you're a woman in a world designed for men. You've gradually learned, as you've grown up in this patriarchal world, that your way of doing things is stupid, when it's not. It's just not how men would do things. We're not always getting things wrong as women. We just do them differently to men, generally speaking. And to be honest, with the state of the world, with the amount of suffering, with the state of our planet, I think we need to acknowledge that doing things differently isn't a negative thing. It's something that we should be aiming towards. We need a different approach to existing because it's clearly not working. We need to listen to women. We need to uplift women. We need to let women lead. Sexism, patriarchy, capitalism even, thrives when women feel stupid and less worthy. Keeping women out of the way allows the current systems to continue thriving. The wealthiest, most powerful men, the top 1%, have the most to gain from women feeling dumb and disempowered. Women who think they're dumb stay quiet. They dim their bright light. They don't hold men accountable and challenge them. They don't strive to get into positions of influence and power. Making women feel dumb is the perfect way to silence us. Smart women are a threat, and I mean that in the best way. This is why misogynistic men and culture work so hard to make us doubt our intelligence. Because we threaten them. Women are made out to be dumb all the time, everywhere. This misogynistic messaging is being put out into the world in so many different ways. Through movies, through music, in the workplace, even within friendship circles and relationships. I promise you, if you take a moment to observe people, to notice how men treat women, you will see women being undermined and mansplained to everywhere, all the time. I notice it so often these days. It's so draining and tiring. There's only so much I can do and say when it's going on so much, in the most micro ways too. A lot of the time we don't even notice it because it's so a part of our daily conversations and behaviours. But we need to question these things because a man For example, laughing at something you've said that's actually really intelligent and insightful isn't a small deal, it's a big deal. Him laughing at you indicates that he doesn't take you seriously. This is going to affect how you see yourself if this happens often enough. So we need to question these moves. Why are you laughing at me when I've said something quite profound? Or if we don't want to say that, at least have that dialogue in your head. Okay, he's not taking me seriously, but that doesn't mean that I don't deserve to be taken seriously, that that idea was dumb. It just means that he's got a lot of sexism that he's not worked to deprogram. Now, I know there's plenty of men out there that don't actively say women are less intelligent than men. I know there's a lot of men out there that don't want women to be disempowered. But that doesn't mean that these men aren't still perpetuating the idea that women are less capable and intelligent. At the end of the day, all of these men have grown up in the same world that me and you have, in a world where sexism is everywhere. Even though it might be a little bit less noticeable than in the past, it's still everywhere. So most men at some point perpetuate the idea that women are less capable and intelligent than men, knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally. Men have been taught to question women's abilities, so if they don't take the time to reflect on that and challenge that and talk about it with their mates, they're not going to have that awareness. They're not going to be able to do anything about it. Even the good guys will unintentionally treat women as less capable. They will be skeptical of women's intelligence and mistrusting of their skills. And this can show up in many ways, it can be really subtle or it can be really obvious. Like a man questioning your knowledge on something that you clearly know a lot about, that you're an expert on, and suggesting a better idea. This is sexism. And you know what? There's a lot of women with internalized sexism who do the same to other women and to themselves. We all have to do the work to unlearn the belief that women are dumb. I'm sure many of you are already aware that women are perceived to be less intelligent than men. But if you want more proof, a foundational 2017 study published by researchers from Princeton, NYU, and the University of Illinois revealed that gender stereotypes about intellectual ability emerge as early as age 6. 6. In the study, young girls were less likely than boys to associate their own gender with being really smart. When presented with stories about highly intelligent people, girls didn't guess the protagonist to be a woman. Similarly, they showed reduced interest when a game was pitched to them as being for smart kids, but their interest was equal to the boys. It increased when the game was instead pitched for hard-working kids. Another interesting study that I found, this is all online by the way, please go and have a look. I'll leave some links. In 2024, from the University College London, they found that parents tend to overestimate their sons' mathematical abilities more so than their daughters, even though girls are consistently outperforming boys in mathematical assessments. These two studies really reflect the problem. Girls from as young as age 6 are doubting their intelligence, and adults are too. Not because they're not capable, but because they're girls. That's it. The doubt isn't even warranted. Girls are outperforming boys academically, but we believe in boys profoundly more. Sexist beliefs prevail. They do, and I know this is quite depressing to hear, but actually I'm really hoping that this will embolden you to realise that you're not the problem, you're not the dumb one. Even if people make you feel that way sometimes. You are an intelligent woman with so much value to bring to the world. So much value. The truly dumb ones are the people who doubt you. because you're a girl, because you're a woman. The dumb ones are the people who haven't done the work to understand how deeply sexism seeps into our minds from such a young age. The people who shut down women's ideas and knowledge. These people are so very dumb. I really hope this video encouraged you to see things from a slightly different angle, see yourself from a slightly different angle. Please do go to the comment sections and let me know your experiences with this and how school affected you maybe, because I think this is a big part of why a lot of us don't feel intelligent. I would love to do a whole video on my experience at school actually. But yeah, let me know if you'd be keen for me to do a video on that. And please do subscribe. Join this community of intelligent people. Please do like this video as well and share it with your friends if you know a friend that needs to feel intelligent, who needs that confidence boost. I really do appreciate you sharing my content. It means the world to me and it helps me spread the message. Thank you for watching, Angel.